Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors studio, here's Steve Jones.
Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory. With the Sunbury Motors guarantee, it's all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, online at sunburymotors.com. Time now for our play-by-play call of the day. Pete Alonso of the Mets with a milestone.
And Alonso rockets one to deep left center field. Forget that. That is way out of here. Pete Alonso, his 100th career home run. Number 31 of the year, two-run shot for Alonso. He's homered in back-to-back games. He's hit triple digits for his career, and the Mets have the early lead in Miami as they score in the first inning for a fifth straight game.
Yeah, that's Gary Cohn with the call on SMY. And Pete Alonso with his 100th career home run. With his third catch in Saturday's game, Jahan Dotson will hit 100 career catches. But I throw that in there. So Penn State football put this out. This is fun. Narrated by Aeneas Hawkins.
Dear Nittany Nation, we've missed you. The roar of our crowd. The sea of blue and white throughout Happy Valley. We've missed the songs, the cheers, the traditions. Seeing our family when our bus comes in.
Let's get him tonight, guys.
Playing in front of the greatest fans in the world. Your passion is our power. Your energy is our drive. We have prepared for your return to Beaver Stadium, where generations of Penn Staters come together on fall Saturdays, sharing and making memories that last a lifetime. Each day, we are closer to being together again at the greatest show in sports.
Dotson swings at far side 40. He's going to get a block downfield from George. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Penn State.
Nittany Nation, welcome back. We are
waited 21 and a half months. And finally on Saturday, we get to come together again. How about that? 21 and a half months. Good job by the Hawk, by the way. I think it's Hawkins, who bluntly said one day at a quarterback club meeting, I said, what do you want to do with your career? And he said, I want your job. Thank you.
I can't wait to see the crowd.
I know I can't. It is, you think about what a football Saturday is, and it's much, much more than, the game is the centerpiece of all of it. It is the reason for being there. But what Penn State football has evolved into over the years, starting with what Joe created in the 60s, when that stadium was 46,000, then went to 60,000. They're trying to figure out how to get more people in. Kept on winning and got it to 78,000. Kept on winning and got it up to 85, 86,000. Built that deck at the one end. Got up to 96. Then 20 years ago, finally finishing in the south end zone and making it 107 plus. Now, the job that James Franklin has done, taking the program, unjustifiably knocked down by another entity, and the way he's been able to bring it back. Well, now, of course, in the process of trying to make the next big step, not just being, hey, they got 10 wins, hey, they got 11 wins. Like they want more. They need to have more. And part of that is getting the fans back in the stadium. Trying to think. I was riding down the elevator today with fans at the stadium, and they wanted to they asked me about being, what it was like having fans back last Saturday. Or, something about it's some general thing. And I said, about you must be excited doing games again, or something like that. And I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, but I mean, Jack and I did every game last year. I said, we traveled. And they said, yeah, no one was there. I said, yeah, I've got this picture of Michigan of 111,000 empty seats. I said, having people back is incredible. And I think, James made an interesting point. And, I realize that there's going to be different levels of how people feel about it right now. Rich Scarcella, when he was on the show yesterday, was talking about that in his own home, there's somebody that is immune compromised. So he has a level of caution about crowds and games and things like that. I completely understand that. Anybody who doesn't completely understand that has no level of sensitivity to them. But boy, I would love to see them get a sellout streak going here. That would be phenomenal. Because the impact that each one of you has on a game when you go is just remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. You impact the goal line stand. You impact a big moment. You impact their offense. You impact your defense. You give your offense a big boost. When things aren't quite going the way you want, you can give that emotional jolt when they come back onto the field. You do all of that. But it's the tailgating. It's the camaraderie. It's the team entrance. It's getting your seat in the stadium and being a part of not just the atmosphere, but being a part of the game, being a part of the action. The part of the ambiance. All right? In that one, it was John Dotson's touchdown catch against Purdue a couple of years ago. And he brings it in. You can hear the crowd going crazy in the background, which just takes the entire excitement of everything and ratchets it up to another level. It's the going back into the parking lot and tailgating and enjoying yourselves after the game because it's an event. And you're complaining about the play calling, and you're complaining about the officiating, and you're saying how much you love how this guy played or how that guy played, or whatever. It's just being back together. The people in front of Jack and myself on Saturday, there were a couple of Penn State fans that were down in front of us. But, of course, naturally, they were almost all Wisconsin fans. But my goodness, they were having a good time. Now, the game didn't turn out the way they wanted. All right, I understand that. But they were having a good time, and, and they're high-fiving each other. And then when they did jump around at the end of the third quarter, which is their signature at Camp Randall, always has been, they hadn't done that in 21 months. It's just all part of, like, we're, as human beings, it's okay to have fun. You don't need permission from anybody to have fun. I mean, life's serious enough during the course of the week. Everybody needs a release to have a good time. You know, you want to paint your face, you want to put a Nittany Lion decal on your face, you want to, wear your garb to the game, whatever it may be. Get into the band. The blue band's a pivotal part of the experience. Cheerleaders are a pivotal part of the experience, and the mic man, right? The dance team's a pivotal part of the experience. It's all part of the experience. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to let loose. The people I saw on Saturday had fun and let loose. It didn't turn out the way they wanted to. Ultimately, Penn State was the one that had the last bastion of fun in the game. But do you think anybody out there regretted going to the game? No. They've been aching to get out and do something fun. Go out there and have 107,000 people as one. Yeah, there'll be some people from Muncie that will come in from Muncie, Indiana. Will come in, 2,000-3,000 fans for Ball State, whatever. That's fine. But you got almost 107,000 people in there, all with one common feeling. They want the team wearing the blue jerseys to win the doggone game. And, man, that's fun. It's okay to have fun. Every time we turn around, there's something serious, something bad, something serious, something bad. It's okay to enjoy yourselves and have fun. And don't let anybody tell you it's not. Now, always respect somebody who has concerns. That's their choice. Always. I always respect people's choices. Always have. As you know. Over and over. Whatever your choice happens, it's fine. But when it comes down to this, for those who choose to go and knock yourselves out. Have a blast. Can't wait to see you on Saturday. I'd love to see a sellout streak start. Would love it. I think it would be great. And anybody who's staying away because they have a concern, total respect. I get it. Yeah. Hey, Dave Ritchie was sitting 6 feet apart from the suit before the pandemic. I mean, this has just reinforced Dave's choices.
F-O-U-L-E-D, that spells fouled up.
Why do they sit so far apart? It's better for Dave. Back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
I think it's one of those calls that could go either way. If they didn't call it, I think people would understand that. I think if you do call it, you're essentially making some changes in the way the rule had been officiated in the past when it came to a ball carrier. So, it's one of those calls. I get it. If I was wearing the official's hat and not being biased as the Penn State head football coach, I probably would not have called it. But I get it, protecting the student athletes and protecting the game. But I do think there's going to need to be probably at the end of the season, a discussion where we get coaches and officials and the AFCA involved and really just sit down and talk it all through with the doctors as well and make some decisions.
That's on the Ellis Brooks play. And Jack and I both felt that based on the Ohio State-Minnesota game, he was going to get tossed. But didn't agree with the call. And I didn't agree with it for this. I think that, let's take a look at this for a moment. If a play is helmet to helmet, and there's no movement by the ball carrier to change position, helmet to helmet, absolutely. Leading with the crown of the helmet, right? Absolutely. But when it's incidental which this was. Mertz kind of put his head down a little bit, and Ellis Brooks is hitting the shoulder. Well, now you're changing. When the runner is changing the target area and making it a much smaller area, that's got to be taken into account. The receiver that catches it goes, all of a sudden, ducks down into that fetal position, going to the turf, and the guy's coming in to make a play, and he's already right. If you're launching yourself, that needs to be targeting. But if it's incidental, no. There's going to be better judgment on incidental, and there's going to be better judgment on the runner lowering their head into the position and causing it to happen. Tom Brady's right. Tom Brady has said a lot of very insightful things in the last week. One of them is he was talking about, look, I throw the ball over the middle, and I throw the ball out too far, and he's reaching, and all of a sudden I put my receiver in a bad spot, and he gets tagged. He said, that's actually on me. I threw the ball the wrong spot, and I caused him to get tagged. That's football. That's how I view it. I want the game to be as safe as possible. I realize there are accommodations to it. But what Ellis Brooks did was not spearing or targeting. And he can't play the first half this week. But I don't know. That this rule has been baffling to me for a long time. By the way, T.J. Watt did practice today for the Steelers. I'm wondering if they have an agreement in principle. And maybe tomorrow being the opening day of the NFL season, maybe they'll announce it tomorrow. But he practiced today for the Steelers. Actually with the squad, full workout, the whole deal. So he did practice. You probably have not been watching the U.S. Open Tennis Championship. Most people don't. Over time, that's tennis has become a sport that who wins. But even when it comes to the big matches, a lot of people don't watch as much tennis as they used to. Okay. But have you seen the conduct of some of the players in this tournament? It's been either through highlights or whatever. It's been crazy to watch. It really has been. Carlos Alcaraz. He's 18 years old. He goes out last night and he's playing. And he tells Brad Gilbert before he goes out, I know he had a tough 5-setter. Oh, no, I'm only ready, blah, 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 blah. Goes out, loses the first set. Down 3-1 second set, walks over, says, I'm done. You're done? You're finished? You have players going and taking long bathroom breaks in between sets. Now, you need the bathroom break, but they're taking a long time. You have rackets being smashed in frustration or whatever. You've got all these people sitting there that paid a mint to be there. They get a bottle of water on the property, $10. Get their meal or whatever, right? Who knows how much that cost? And I'm going to settle and watch some tennis, and at 3-1, this guy retires for no apparent reason. Oh, but I'm supposed to understand. Naomi Osaka was smacking rackets on Friday night all over the place. I, as the fan, though, am expected to understand. Right? Okay. I mean, what am I watching here? I know we all have to be understanding and be compassionate about the athlete's mental health. I've got that. But where's the obligation to the people who paid their money to get in? I'm retiring. It's 3-1. What, you're retiring? It's 3-1? I'm done? You're 18 years old. The family of four is sitting over there saying, we paid how much for these tickets? Where's the compassion and understanding for them? They're the only reason you're playing.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15. Hummel's Wharf online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Hyundai. Great new inventory. Fabulous pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. Sales staff that works with you. It's a great time for trade-ins. And a fabulous service department. It's all at Sunbury Motors. 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia. Routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf and online at sunburymotors.com. All right. Maybe by the end of next week, I believe we'll hear about the possibility of the Big 12 expanding. And it looks like UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, and Houston will be the four. They've all applied to it. They'll probably be and that may, I mean, the key is, will the SEC stop expanding? At some point, you get to be too big and it becomes unmanageable. But my big question about the Big 12 moving forward is going to be how do you look at the Big 12? They will probably retain their Power 5 status, but I don't think that's going to mean much for them because their TV contract is going to be up in 2025. At that point, each school will be making $40 million per school, and even with the addition of big market programs, Houston, Cincinnati, big markets, Orlando, big market, Salt Lake City, decent-sized market, you're going to have it's not going to be as attractive TV-wise. Industry experts say the new per-team revenue could end up being $20 to $25 million per year. That's going to be a cut for everybody across the board. So you're talking about a cut of $15 to $20 million per year for being in the Big 12. Now, for those who are moving up, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, the American, and again, Mike Oresco does this adorable little thing like we're Power 6, blah, 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 blah. Mike, nobody's listening. Your mouth's moving. Nobody's listening. Everybody knows the truth. For UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston, this is going to be bonanza day. They're only getting $7 million a school from the Power 6 American. But for the other 8 schools, it's going to be a big drop with big decisions that have to be made in athletic departments when you're losing $15 to $20 million in revenue per year. Those 8 schools are going to lose a lot of money. Now, BYU, they have issues that have to be addressed, which some of them have been. Number one, it's a faith-based institution. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But they don't play on Sunday. Now, that doesn't mean anything for football, but it means something for basketball and your other sports. As we're talking about, what's the traditional time to have certain events? Some of them are on Sundays for some of these sports. that issue, I guess, from my understanding, has been resolved. And also the LGBTQ community has had concerns about BYU, but they have now participated in an NCAA initiative called Common Ground. So it looks like that's going to be okay for them getting in. But I think even though it would make it Power 69, which means of the 130 Division I FBS schools, more than half now, for the first time ever, will be in that power group. But I'm not so sure that you may have the designation, but your odds of getting into the playoff are long, and your odds of getting more than one program into a New Year's Six are also long, because you have a gigantic perception problem. You may be Power 5 in name only, and you're definitely only going to be you're a Power 5 in name only financially. The per team revenue could be as low as $20 million per school. For the new schools coming in, it is bonanza day. That means Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston will be tripling their money. They will look around and go, I can't believe this is the greatest thing going. BYU, I don't know what as an independent they're bringing in, so that I don't know. So I can't address that. But for the 8 remaining schools from the existing Big 12, this is going to be a huge issue. What do I now do with my finances? Because I had $40 million, now I got 20. Starting in 2026. What do I do now? How do I keep everything together? Do I have to make cuts? What does it do for my sports structure? I know there are a lot of great wrestling fans in our area. Iowa State and Oklahoma State have to make hard decisions as to what to do with their wrestling programs if they're getting half the money TV-wise they got before. I mean, they may want to keep their wrestling programs, which I'm sure is their absolute desire. So then where else do you cut to make sure that you can keep yourself financially intact? That's a big problem for these schools moving forward. Texas and Oklahoma were the financial bell cows of the Big 12. They were the reasons, two of the major reasons, that networks lined up and said, we want to carry some Big 12 games. There aren't as many reasons anymore. I know Iowa State's going to play Iowa this week. Game day, in fact, is going to be there for that game. Okay, big deal. Iowa State with Matt Campbell's done very well. Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. Had their usual inexplicable, I can't believe they didn't get out of the gate quicker game. For some reason, Iowa State seems to do that a lot. But, but moving forward, do you end up keeping your coaches because it's a less desirable job? Those are big questions. I am so glad that Penn State doesn't have to face these questions. For some odd reason, every time Kevin Warren gets interviewed by somebody, anybody, he never gets asked about the TV contract. He's at a press conference, never gets. It's the single most important thing he has going right now. Whether he's doing it, Barry Alvarez is doing it, Mark Rudner's doing it, somebody. That's the single most important thing that this commissioner needs to be doing right now. Alliances are adorable. That's fine. All right. So maybe big picture down the road, but you need to you need to have your TV contract taken care of. You're the first one up. Your primary job is to get as much as you can for your clientele, for your membership. And I don't expect the commissioner of the Big Ten to volunteer information like that. I don't. I do expect us as media members to ask him about it. Now, he can then answer it any way he wishes, either avoid it or circle around it or whatever, but you need to be asked. He's never been asked. That contract needs to be in place, I don't know, a year, 14 months from now. That's what needs to be in place. Means they got to be talking now about it. They've got to, your current rights holders all have open periods to negotiate, to do what they can do. And whatever you can do in a positive way can then blunt anything the SEC's doing. If you can compete financially toe-to-toe with them, which other conferences can't do. Pac-12 won't be able to do it. ACC can't do it. ACC's locked into a bad contract that goes another 15 years. And the Big 12 absolutely can't do it. The Big 10 is the only conference that financially can go toe-to-toe with the Southeastern Conference, to the point where there's been a real feel that the SEC and the Big 10 have created now a real separation with the other three because of the money involved. Openers tomorrow, Dallas and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Matt's excited. He's been waiting for Cowboy ball all year.
Waiting for them to get hammered.
Boy, you have a lot of hate here.
But in all seriousness, though, looking at this objectively, I like Tampa outright tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. No, I think everybody does. I mean, Tampa has almost everybody back.
They have everybody back. Literally everybody back on the roster and the coaching staff. Now there's no Zach Martin for the Cowboys. Tampa Bay wins this, hands down.
I'm not sure that Chris Godwin's iffy for the game.
He is, yes.
Going in. But I'm not big on Dallas to begin with.
Same.
But it's going to draw a great rating. It's the NFL opener. Dallas does draw ratings. And Brady draws ratings. So, I mean, simple as that. Why is Dallas on as many primetime games as possible? They draw a rating. I mean, you're a network. You're sitting around saying, look, I need viewers. That's why, for example, the Falcons-Eagles game is nothing. Is that game even on TV?
It is, and surprising.
I'm just kidding.
But you know what was on the call for that game, though? Kevin Burkhardt. They gave him. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like CD broadcast teams.
What time's that game Sunday?
It's a 1 o'clock game.
1 o'clock game.
Because the late game Joe and Troy will be at is Green Bay, New Orleans.
Right. Yeah, CBS doesn't want the late game in the opener because they have the U.S. Open Tennis Championship men's final.
Well, they do have it because Jim Nance and Tony Romo are going to be in Cleveland, Kansas City.
That's right. Yeah, Cincinnati. That's right. ESPN actually has that, which means nobody's going to watch it.
Correct. Iron Eagle Charles Davis for Pittsburgh and Buffalo, by the way.
That's a better game than Browns Kansas City, isn't it?
They're both equally pretty good.
Yeah, probably right. I mean, nobody played anybody in the preseason. Somebody knows who's any good. You know? It's like there's going to be a lot of rust out there. Now, fortunately, as Merrill pointed out yesterday, Jalen Hurts got 10 plays in. No?
He was in rare form. He was on fire. He was hysterical. He had me howling yesterday.
Wow. The Jacksonville Jaguars have named their team captains. And Trevor Lawrence is one of them. Wow.
Oh, my almighty!
How about that? Shikellamy Football has named the suit as an honorary game captain. Is that true?
Fouled. That spells fouled.
Oh, they did that for the first game when they didn't score? Oh, yeah. It didn't do enough to spur them. He may go insane. Has Shikellamy scored a touchdown this year?
Yeah, they had 13 on the board last week at Loyal Soccer.
Oh, okay. So the suit has done the touchdown Shikellamy thing.
But in 3 games he's called, 1 Bucknell and 2 Schick, it's only been 13 points combined through 3 games he's called. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to change this weekend for either squad.
Does anybody wonder if maybe it's him?
He might even wonder the same thing.
Oh, no, he doesn't. He thinks he's immune to everything.
Get the lingerie on the deck. Call the janitor.
I feel like we're working with the Jerry Jones of broadcasting. Back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
When it comes to car buying, there's the other guy's way, and then there's the SMC way. The other guys force you into a vehicle you really don't want. The Sunbury Motors way lets you take the time you need to browse, ask questions, and take the test drive and think on it. For over 100 years, the Mertz family and all their employees have made your experience the most pleasant one you'll ever have. The other guys won't offer you the best price for your trade, no matter how much they say they will. The SMC way is their promise to provide you with the most money the market shows your vehicle is worth. The SMC way is to offer you all applicable factory rebates on new vehicles and generous discounts. Looking for a pre-owned vehicle? The SMC way checks each vehicle in a 200-mile radius to determine the lowest price, then beat it. It's the lowest price promise, just part of the SMC way. The choice is up to you, the other guy's way or the SMC way. The SMC way wins every time. Sunbury Motors Company in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. Selling more cars and satisfying more customers for over 100 years.
You know, this is a game that requires sacrifice, dedication, discipline, and focus. You know, it's a game of failure. It teaches you teamwork. It teaches you humility. The one common thread with all of us here on stage is that we understand that there's no one individual bigger than the game. The game goes on, and it goes on because of the great fans we have. So take care of it, protect it, respect it. Don't take the time you have to play for granted. And remember the most important thing, like I said earlier, it's more than just a game. You know, the greatest to ever play in the Hall of Fame family, they're all watching. And I personally can't wait to welcome a few of you on this very stage, just as I have been by so many others. So thank you all once again. It's been a hell of a ride.
Derek Jeter reading the speech Nomar Garcia Perez should have had. I'm just kidding. Great player. Always played the game right, always played the game well, and was a credit to the game every day he went out there. Credit to the game. Well raised, great family, and Derek Jeter, a phenomenal player, easy Hall of Famer. Easy. Let's see. Did you see that Sam Bam Cunningham passed away? He's only 71. He was at USC, and USC went to play Alabama. Oh, yikes. I want to say 71 maybe? And, you know, it was a team that, for example, had Jimmy Jones was their quarterback, Clarence Davis was their running back. Davis was really the star. And when USC played Alabama, September 12th, 1970, I'm trying to think, maybe it was 72. 72 team, I think. It was the first major college football game in the state of Alabama that included a fully integrated team. And Cunningham had a phenomenal game that night. He had 135 yards. He scored 2 touchdowns. Jerry Claiborne, who was he was the coach at Maryland for years. He had that wide tackle 6 who he's played at Maryland. Who played, by the way, coached with Bear Bryant at one point, said that Sam Cunningham did more to integrate Alabama in 60 minutes than Martin Luther King did in 20 years. That was his quote. And I think it was 71 this happened. And it did change a lot of things down south. It changed a lot of attitudes down south about. And it also, I'll tell you where it also changed. It changed a lot for Grambling, Florida A&M, Jackson State, where the historically black universities were getting some phenomenal players because the state institutions, the Power 5 institutions in the South, oh no, we're not going to do that, which of course is just so wrong on every level. Cunningham ended up, by the way, having a really good career with the Patriots in the NFL. He was a big reason that helping get the Patriots back actually started their run to get into the playoffs. He was a big part of that. He's a good player. He had 4 touchdowns in a Rose Bowl game. But yeah, that USC team went into, I think the game was in Birmingham. I think it was at Legion Field. And the Alabama fan base was watching this going, holy cow. Sam Bam Cunningham was only 71. That's too young. It's too young, Matt. It's too young.
Absolutely.
Too young. Great player. Oh, I'll tell you, Clarence Davis was actually the real star of that backfield. Oh, Clarence Davis had a game against Notre Dame. I'm sorry, Michelle Mertzi. I'm sorry to bring up the Clarence Davis. I mean, what a player he was. Or Anthony Davis, I mean. What a player he was. Yikes.